take a step back. And I don't have any idea. All I know is I want to do retail. Harry, how would you as a business broker, what would you provide me?
This is probably the toughest challenge I have as a intermediary dealing with buyers who don't have a specific goal and plan. My advice to them is to, especially in a small business transaction, I'm talking about businesses of the size of $1 million or less in gross annual sales. You and the business are very intertwined. And so, especially in retail, if you're buying an existing business, go to the business as a customer and just suck in the vibes. If you feel comfortable and you like it, then look at the numbers. And then figure out if you can grow it and make it work for you. But if you don't like it, pay attention to that, because 24/7, that's your obligation.
That's where the passion comes in, Harry.
That passion is critical. I totally agree with that.
So, Erik, to follow up with some other information that we have, I want to talk about you're getting ideas, or you have some. When's a good time to protect your intellectual property, your patent, or pursuing a patent, or some type of trade secret protection?
Well, we wish that people thought about it sooner than they did. Most people come to us when it's late in the process, sometimes too late. So it's good to be thinking about things early, because, for example, if you want to get a patent, there's certain deadlines that will prevent you from doing so if certain actions occur. For example, if you sell your patented product, you only have a year in the United States before you can file a patent application and still get a patent on it. It's good to think about these things early, because, like everyone else has alluded to, you have to begin with the end in mind. I think that's one of the 7 habits of highly successful people. What is the end goal that you're trying to achieve? If eventually you are starting this business because you want to sell it, that would argue for one intellectual property strategy. If you want to run it as a lifestyle practice, that would argue for another. If this is what you plan on retiring with, that's another strategy too. Some of our best clients just like starting businesses, and that's all they do. They start one business, run it for usually less than a year, and then they go off and start something else. So it's important to think about what the end goal is, and to start your intellectual property planning early on with that end in mind.
Great.
Okay, so Harry told us what we should do if we don't have a clue, but have a vague idea. Now, Kerri, what shouldn't we do? I don't have an idea. Now tell me what I'm not going to do.
Well, there are plenty of mistakes that people do make. They're good at something, so they start the business, but they have no clue about how to run it as a business. It goes back to the ideas that are in the E-Myth by Michael Gerber about this woman with her pie shop. And she was very good at making pies, but she burned herself out and couldn't grow the business because all she was doing was making the pies. You need to back up and do the business piece, and you need that business foundation under you from the outset, or you don't know what your numbers are. You don't know that you need some legal assistance to protect your business. You don't know enough to know the mistakes that can trip you up. The mistakes, you don't start with your business card and your website, because you're going to need to replace them about every 2 months for the first year. So don't invest in them up front until something's fairly solid. Why go to the time and expense of doing those kinds of things? The other thing is, you don't go it alone. Yes, you can rely on family as a sounding board, but there's only so much that your family can give you of expertise. You need to build a board of advisors. You need to have your legal counsel. You need a business advisor. You need experts that you can draw on, whether you're hiring them individually or you're building them as a board of advisors, that you bring them out for a great dinner and use them as a board of directors, but they're a board of advisors, so they don't get paid. There's just some basics.
Great. Harry, what size businesses do you typically help in your practice? Is it revenue based, employee based, or just what people can afford?
I focus most of my experience to date, TJ, has been what we in the profession refer to as Main Street businesses. You drive down and you see a strip mall, you see the boutique, the hairstylist, the pizza shop, that kind of thing. And those businesses typically are in the range of gross sales of several $100,000 to half $500,000. The other business grouping that I have experience in and where I'm spending more time these days is in what is referred to as a low-end mergers and acquisitions, or M&A. And those typically are in the $2.5 to $12 million. Those two business groups constitute 97% of all businesses in the country. So there's quite an opportunity for me to interact with these business sales.
Great, thank you.
Erik, getting back to the domain names. Now, I have a startup business and I have a domain registration. As a startup, how many should I have? How many registrations should I have, and what do they cost?
Well, a single domain name to register is maybe only $10 a year, depending on what domain name registrar you go with. But I'll be honest with you and tell you that we recommend that our clients have at least 100 domain names, because at $1,000 a year, it's cheap insurance to prevent against a single cyber squatting dispute. And just to give you an example, I'll use Apple again as the example. The most common typo domain names are, for example, www.apple.com, where the dot is missing, or applecom.com, where people are mistyping domain names and leaving out the dot. So that's just a couple examples, but you could also imagine letters being switched, things being misspelled, and the cyber squatters know how to find and register and make money from these typo domain names. A, quote, good typo domain name can make $1,000 a month for the cyber squatter. So it's a very lucrative business, one which we encourage our clients to stay out of by registering them before the cyber squatters do.
Wow.
So,
New business for you?
Yeah, could be a new business venture.
We'll consult you.
Kerri, not everyone starting a business or buying an existing business has a sales, marketing, or even a financial background. Can you give us a few pointers on how to market this business?
To me, the sales and marketing